I'm a CNC programmer. I work for a company called Granite by Design. We make countertops. Porcelain will definitely take over quartz.
Sure.
That's something I feel very strongly about because I hate quartz. I don't know why anybody is using it.
Wants to do quartz.
Everybody wants to do quartz. I don't even know how we got into it or why it's our responsibility, but somehow it is. Yeah. I'm glad that he has to deal with it and not me.
Right. Yeah, some of those scenarios that get to the curb, or something, right? But
exactly. That's what I'd be like, off. I'm not paying your bill. It's nice of my dad to offer. He'll never slash his prices. Like, don't even come in there and be like, hey, we got a price from here. Will you match it? The answer is going to be no. Right? Like, and I mean, that's not even fair. Where did you get that quote from? What are they quoting you in?
Like, I'll start with your dad. Did he have a background in this space, or how did he kind of get into it?
It's the only thing he's ever done. Since he was 18 years old, he was working for a shop in Shiraz in Iran.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to a new podcast. My name is JJ Vola. Alongside here is my co-host, Cal Vola. Welcome to What Do You Do podcast. Today, we are joined by Melod. Melod, thank you so much for being part of today's podcast.
Thanks
Tell everybody a little brief description of who you are and what you do.
Yeah, I'm a CNC programmer. I work for a company called Granite by Design. We make countertops.
Cool. Awesome. I definitely love diving into that and all the custom things I'm sure you do.
Yeah.
Give us a little life story of what you did kind of coming out of high school, some of your first jobs, kind of why you are doing what you're doing today.
Yeah, my first job was working in my dad's shop when I was like 13, 14 years old. He'd take me there on weekends during the summer or during the school year even, just to clean around the shop and wipe down the slabs and stuff like that. Funny story, when I was young, I would go there and they would go out for installs for the day on like a Saturday and be like, sweep up the place. And so the first few times I'd go there and that's what I was doing. But then when my dad would come back, he would always look to see like how much stuff did you sweep up. So maybe like the third or fourth time I realized like they have this vacuum there full of dust. So I would just open the vacuum, dump it into the garbage bin, and then when he'd come back, I'd be like, look at all the cleaning I did. And he's like, oh, wow, like so proud of me of all the work that I did. So just a lesson on working smarter, not harder.
Right.
But then I worked a couple other jobs like as a busboy for the Keg and a bar back at a bar in the city I went to school in Kingston called Fanatics. I pursued a career in radio and television broadcasting. Did my degree in psychology at Queens, then went to Humber for radio and television. Got an internship at 680 News. I was there for like 6 months. I was hoping they would give me a job through that. I was like 24 years old at the time, and they didn't. They offered me another internship, another 6-month internship. And at that point in my life, I just didn't want to be working for free anymore. Like I'd been in school my whole life. Like I wanted to make money. A major goal of mine was to move out of my parents' house when I was 25 years old. I think I was actually 23 when I had graduated from Humber because I'd been working for 2 years before I moved out. So I declined the internship and started working for my dad.
Now, just to quickly touch base on that, like, why did you go into video or radio production? Was it something that you loved early on, or is that a passion of yours?
Yeah, like since I was a kid, I wanted to get into specifically sports broadcasting.
Oh, cool.
Any kind of job in that field. I didn't need to be on TV. If it was a journalist job, behind the scenes, I just wanted to do something in sports broadcasting.
Cool.
Yeah.
Big Raptors fan.
Yeah. Oh, good.
Yeah.
Massive.
I love all sports. Yeah.
Sure. And you've always been like, so even our history, we go way back, all the way to elementary school and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I just remember, dude, like you were the smartest guy, you know,
man,
like,
stop it.
and you could fight like through like a story, or there was no outsmarting you essentially, you know,
And arguing maybe.
Yeah. I remember you and Salinger, man, like you guys were unreal. And I just remember I was like, man, Melod's gonna be like a lawyer one day. Like, this guy can argue anything. You'll fight your points. So, and I mean, we go way back.
What I remember the most from you in high school, I'm sure you remember, the kickoff return for a touchdown. Remember that? This guy probably broke like 12 tackles. No one was taking Cal down from the end zone to end zone. Beautiful.
Man. Yeah, thanks, man.
You remember that, right?
Yes, I do. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'll never forget that. It was a great run.
Yeah. So, oh man, dude, that's so funny. But yeah. So now, I mean, going back
Now
to
we're old.
Now we're old. Now we're talking about our past, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, man, and going back to the broadcasting and all that kind of stuff, and for anyone that's listening is interested in broadcasting or media or whatever it may be, and doing an internship. So, what was that experience kind of like? When you were doing that, and would you say it was beneficial? Is it just kind of one of those things that they just kind of put out there to utilize people and get, basically labor for free?
That's definitely a part of it. And I mean, a place like 680, anything associated with Rogers, people want to go there and work there, right? But I wouldn't say I don't want to say that there isn't a route to getting a job through an internship. You just have to keep plugging away. And I didn't do that. So I would say that if you get that opportunity, take it and put everything that you have into it. Like, leave no regrets. Yeah. You can. I definitely met people that started as interns and were working there now. We're on air radio hosts. So there's a route for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then leaving that, and then getting out of it. Obviously, there wasn't a passion for you. What did you do after your intern?
Yeah, I started working for my dad.
Yeah. So going back, and then did you take on more roles and responsibilities at that time?
No, I started doing work.
Okay.
Just in the back, like doing whatever I was asked to do, cleaning and just pretty much shit work. The stuff that no one else wanted to do. We have trenches, had to clean out the trenches every day, and just upkeep in the shop. That was my main job. Yeah. Then my cousin he came here from Iran. He went to the States at first. So he was having like some sort of a visa problem. I don't even really know what it was, but he had to go back to the States for it. And he was programming our CNC. So about a month or so before he left, he started training me to do it. So I kind of got lucky. Sorry. After like 8 or 9 months of being I kind of got lucky that he was leaving, because then he had to teach me how to do that. And so then that's when I started to move into I started getting more responsibilities.
And just for the viewers, what does your dad's shop, or what does it do? Just for the viewers,
we make countertops out of granite, marble, quartz. Now porcelain is starting to become a lot more popular. Porcelain will definitely take over quartz, in my opinion. That's something maybe we could talk about a little bit later. But that's something I feel very strongly about, because I hate quartz. I don't know why anybody is using it.
Wants to do quartz.
Everybody wants to do quartz, man. And it's like, first of all, the materials that they use to make it are not healthy. It's not good for fabricators to be inhaling it. It's illegal to fabricate quartz in a lot of countries in Europe, Germany, Spain, for example. You're not even allowed to make it there. Besides that, it doesn't look anything like natural stone. It discolors over time. It doesn't handle heat, so you can't put it around anything. That you can't put it above a fireplace. You can't take your hot pot or your pan and put it directly on. It's going to get damaged. I don't see why, when you can get natural stone or now porcelain, which looks a lot more like natural stone, doesn't have any problems with heat, doesn't discolor over time. I mean, it's right now it's a little bit more expensive. That's why maybe you're not seeing it as much. But eventually, it's definitely going to take over quartz in the market for sure.
Is quartz just cheaper? Is that why?
No, it's marketed really well. It's not even necessarily cheaper. Anytime you watch a home improvement show, that's what they're using. They have major corporations behind them, Caesar Stone. They put in a lot of money into their marketing. People aren't marketing natural stone. So they put a lot of stuff out there. Oh, you need to seal your counters if you get natural stone, which is, but I mean, if you did have to seal it, it's not like it's a strenuous process. You spray it on and you wipe it off and that's it. But I mean, I have had them in my house my whole life. I've never had to seal them. Like, that just that they put out there to make you want to buy quartz, right? Yeah.
Right.
A lot of people come in already brainwashed. Like, we're getting quartz because we think that's the best product for your kitchen, when it's not.
Right. So there's a lot of talking people out of it.
A lot of that, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, a lot of. Well, the thing is, like, the name of our company is Granite by Design. You come into our place, we have all kinds of slabs of natural stone. So if I start saying that, people are going to think like, well, of course he's saying that. He wants us to buy granite from him. The place is called Granite by Design. So
right.
I try to make it so, like, I don't bring it up myself. When they ask me though, then I tell them
I see.
my opinion. Yeah, like you should consider natural stone because we've been using it for a lot longer. It's withstood the test of time. It's like a piece of art and history, and because it's been on the planet for millions of years.
Right.
Like, you have an opportunity to use that, and instead you're going to use like a piece of engineered plastic, basically, with like a computer generated image on it to make it look like marble, and it doesn't at
Right.
all. Like, yeah,
True.
yeah.
Okay. Well, good news for the viewers. You know, it's some
Yes.
education. Okay.
Yeah.
Quartz is out.
Quartz is out. Porcelain's coming in.
If you insist on getting a man-made product, I would go for porcelain because it looks a lot more like that's the main thing at the end of the day. You want it to look nice, right? And it looks very much like natural stone. Like they're doing a much better job with porcelain.
I see. Okay. Wow.
Wow, it's gonna last, all that kind of stuff, and
It's porcelain.
Yeah.
Right? We've been using it for sinks for a lot. So yeah, it lasts.
Sure.
It's
Yeah.
maybe in 10 years we're gonna find out something. But like I said, it's something we've been using. It's not like a new thing. Like, we use porcelain all the time.
sure.
Right.
Okay.
Wow.
And then the marble, like where do you guys get that from? You know, how do they get it out of the freaking, the earth and all that kind of stuff?
Well, it's mined out of the earth by. They have different methods. One of the main ones is using dynamite. So they'll poke holes into the mountain and then put the dynamite through, and then it explodes out. Comes out in like a big rock, let's say like 5 feet wide, 10 feet deep. Then it's sliced into slabs and then sent to a factory for polishing. Takes about a day to bring out the sheen because obviously it comes out of the earth as a rock. And then from it's usually processed in a country like Italy, but it's quarried in countries like Brazil, India. Brazil has probably like 80% of the granite and marble that we get. And then we don't buy it directly from there. We buy it from suppliers who buy it from them. Buy it from the quarries.
Right. Okay.
Got it. And then when you guys do buy, obviously there's an advantage to buy more at one time, or is just kind of buy the piece. And if you have a client that's looking for something specific, is there like a massive wait time for something like that? Or
No. Something specific. If a client is looking for something specific, we first try to see if we can find it. If we can't find it, then it is what it is. You can't get it. A lot of the times, we have a really good selection in our place, and people come in and tell us that all the time. You have one of the best selections that we've seen. But if they really want more options, then they can just go and visit our suppliers themselves. And then you have a lot of options, and you tell them what you like, what color you want, and they're going to show you a whole bunch of different options. Then they send us the tags. These are the slabs that your client liked, and then we order them.
okay.
Yeah, if it's a really nice color, maybe we'll order a few extra slabs. Their suppliers are sending us pictures of material all the time. So, my parents have been doing this for years. They know, like, when they see one. At this point, I feel pretty confident in my opinion as well. Like, okay, that's one that'll sell. We see a nice one and we'll buy them. Yeah, they do deals if you buy more, but not really. Like, you can haggle and be like, okay, if we're gonna buy 5, you want to give us a little bit less off per square foot, but there isn't like a huge benefit to buying like a massive amount. Yeah,
Okay.
it's expensive. It's expensive.
Yeah, even just the handling of the marble too, or even granite for that matter. Like obviously you guys have been doing it for many years, but I'm sure just the transportation just to get it like the finished product to the customer's house, setting it all up. Because I've seen some stuff on TikTok, Instagram. They're going to go set it up, and it, either something drops or it's just as little as it just. And then it cracks right there, or whatever the case is, right?
Yeah, man. Handling some material is very delicate, so you have to be careful. A lot of it happens in the shop while we're cutting it, while it's on the CNC machine. Either the piece will break or our tools will break. So yeah, we have to run into that kind of stuff all the time.
Wow.
And that's on you guys. I mean, you break it in the shop.
You just gotta make a new one.
Make a new one.
Hope we can find a way to salvage that piece. Sometimes we get lucky, but if not, we gotta make a new one.
Sure.
Wow.
How often does that happen when something might break? Like, do you guys kind of budget for that? Like every year, you're like, we're gonna break 5 or 10 slabs or something like that.
Yeah. When you price a job, you have to consider stuff like that happening. How often does it happen? Maybe like once a week, probably. So
Wow.
it does happen. Yeah, it does happen. There's a lot, man. It's not easy to do, and you can forget one little thing, and it can everything up.
Wow.
Like just to give you a small example, like when I put a piece on the CNC machine, you have to remember to do like not half a dozen. You have to remember to do like a full dozen of things before running it. And like, for example, one of them is making sure that you tell the machine what thickness the material is that you're putting on. If you forget to do that when you're lining it up, you have to line it up. Laser projects and shows you like where to put the piece. If you forget to do that one little thing, you could put the piece in the wrong place, and then the tools are going to go in the wrong place. It's going to cut the sink off center, or it's going to not cut the wall the way it's supposed to. And you can fuck up everything with just one little mistake like that.
Wow.
Yeah. And there's a million examples like that.
Yeah,
that could
for
happen.
sure.
That could happen at the stage of pricing the job. Maybe we price a job, we think it needs 3 slabs. It actually turned out to need 3.5 slabs. Or when the guy goes to measure, he can make any kind of mistake, you know? So there's a lot of, there isn't a lot of room for error.
Yeah, because that's the thing too. You're not like you're not building it on that counter at that person's house in your shop, right? You got to go to that house, come back. You can't even really test fit it,
No.
right? And you're showing up, hoping or knowing that it's gonna all piece together perfect against the wall. Wow.
Exactly.
Yeah, wow.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And is there tools for measuring, when you go on site sort of thing? Or?
Yeah. We have a laser templater and another one called ProLiner, which is it's like a pen that's got a string on it that's attached to the machine, and you take the pen from the machine and like touch the areas that you need measured. So like you take 2 points on each line, then you have to like do something to let the machine know I'm moving to another line. You take another couple points and then go around, and so basically the pen is connected to the machine, which is tracking where you're going with it and making a template of the kitchen as you're doing it.
Right. Okay. And then it creates like a CAD file or something like that.
Exactly. Then the CAD file comes to me. I turn it into countertops if it needs a seam, for example, because he's just giving me a big L shape, but maybe we're not able to make the counter in that L shape. Maybe it needs a seam at some point. So I got to put in the seam, separate the pieces, give the sizes to the shop manager. He takes the slab, puts it on the table, cuts them into rough sizes. Then it goes on the CNC machine, which gets it like precise, cuts the sink, puts in the edge profile, calibrates it, makes sure the whole thing is the same thickness. Then it comes off. We have a hand polisher who does some more touch-ups, clean it, seal it to the installers and into their homes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah.
How long you guys been doing this for?
My dad's been in the business for like 30 years.
3 years. Wow.
Something like that.
Is he retiring? You taking over or what?
Yeah, at some point. Have you guys seen Succession?
I haven't, man. I gotta watch it.
It's a good show. Check it out. I'm sure some people have seen it though. My dad's a lot like Logan Roy, and not in his personality, but in the way that he feels about the business. Like he is gonna hold on to it until the day that he dies. And I don't mind. I'm not like Kendall in the show. Again, you guys haven't seen it, but Kendall really wants to take over and really wants to like be the CEO of the business.
Sure.
I don't really feel that way. I mean, not at this point in my life. I get paid well. I don't have to stress about anything. He has a lot of that he needs to deal with. Anytime a customer has like some sort of an issue, he's got to deal with it. There's this one lady who, it wasn't even us that did the job. We just gave her the tile guy. We gave her a tile guy. Here, you can use him to put in your tiles because we don't even do tiles. I guess he fucked up something. Am I allowed to swear?
It's okay.
You
Right?
can swear.
Just did it.
Yeah.
Later.
Yeah.
So he screwed something up in it, like whatever. Anyway, she wants to get compensated for it. So she's like asking my dad to pay this $4,000 bill for the guy who came in to fix the tiles. And my dad's like, I didn't do this job. I just gave you the guy who did. Like, I gave you the tile guy, but like, that's not my fault. Like, you asked me and the tile guy's a good, like, he's a good worker. Like, he does really good work. We've been using him for years. I don't know what mistake he made, but like, how does this $4,000 bill fall on us? And he even offered her, he's like, I'll give you $1,000. Let's just end this now. And she's not accepting it. So like, this is the kind of that you got to deal with, right?
Where's the tile guy?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, you should be paying this.
Yeah.
I don't even know how we got into it or why it's our responsibility, but somehow it is. Yeah. I'm glad that he has to deal with it and not me.
Right. Yeah, some of those scenarios that get to the curb, or something, right? But
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'd be like, I'm not paying your bill. It's nice of my dad to offer $1,000.
That's why you don't want to take over the business.
Take a hike. Get out of here. You know. And it's so funny because you're trying to help her out. She like asks you guys, do you know someone? You're like, oh, we have a guy that's pretty good at what he does. We know he does good work. Here's, his information. She gets in touch. Now it's out of your hands.
Exactly.
It's now in his hands and between them, right?
Right.
And people, they got to put the blame on somebody.
Yeah.
I know.
think the job was done 4 years ago too. So like, come on.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
What do you think this warranty is? Like 10-year
exactly.
warranty,
that's
right?
another thing we got to deal with. People think they have a warranty and a lifetime warranty. Like, where do you get a lifetime warranty?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
What can you buy that you get a lifetime warranty on?
Canadian Tire Tools.
Yeah. And even that's a limited one.
Yeah, that's so true.
And there probably isn't any warranty. Like, like if they sign off on the job, like once you're done installing, you're like, hey, does it look good? You happy? Is there any?
We don't have like an official one, but if it's within a year, we don't charge anything. They say like our seam came apart or like whatever, any kind of issue. There's a chip. There's probably a chip likely made by them, but within a year, we'll still come by and fix it for them.
Sure.
Just to leave that good taste in their mouth.
Yeah.
That's a big thing too. Is like a lot of people don't really understand what the warranty is. Warranty doesn't cover self-inflicted damage. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like if it was like the seam, like there was separating or the glue, right? That's one thing. But if it's someone like took a pot or something heavy, fell on it and took a big chunk out of it, people are like, oh, well, it shouldn't have broke. Well, you shouldn't have dropped the thing on the,
Yeah, exactly.
See that all the time with the car industry because like I worked at the car dealerships and like people would hit a pole or something like that or they'd run over something and it would mess something up. Is this not under warranty? Like, what do you mean?
You hit a pole. Why didn't you not hit the pole? Then
The car shouldn't have broke.
Yeah. What dealership did you work at?
I worked at like a Chevrolet in Burlington.
Ah, cool.
Yeah.
My dad bought his truck from there.
Oh yeah. Oh cool. Probably not for me. No. I was actually the truck guy, but you never know.
Yeah. Jesus, man. So take us through kind of working in a family business and your mom works in the business as well.
Yeah.
Does your sister? No. She does something else.
Yeah.
So kind of, that dynamic and working together, what are the ups, of that, the advantages and maybe the disadvantages of doing that?
Well, there's lots of advantages, right? Well, I got a lot of freedom. Obviously, as being the owner's son, I get responsibilities and roles that maybe I wouldn't if I wasn't. Right? I mean, that's just the reality of it. The disadvantages are that you're with your parents every day. Like, just imagine having to see your mom every day. Where like she doesn't separate the employee from her son. So she's not only on me for stuff work related, she's on me about my personal stuff too. So it's like constant every day, like nagging. My dad's pretty cool. My dad, we don't clash too much. He's getting a little bit older now, so he is taking like more of a backseat role. Like I said, he loves the business. He loves coming to work, but at the same time, he's not doing like as much. He's more there for his wisdom, give his opinion. He does give us our freedom to do what we want to do and think for ourselves and come up with our own ideas. At the end of the day, he does get the final say, but he does allow me to I'm not just a robot there, like do this, do that. Like I do get to make decisions. I do get to have my input as well. So, so yeah, overall, I would say, based on what I've heard from other people that work with their family, that I got it pretty good.
Right.
I don't have a lot of complaints.
Yeah. Sure. And that's good too, because I mean, I'm sure for a lot of kids that are coming into a family business, they want more roles and responsibilities in their 20s. You know what I mean? And then, they don't understand that it's just like you need more life experience. You're not the impulse decisions that you're gonna make because this happened or whatever the case is.
Yeah.
A lot of times too, people just need to grow up into the business, see it for years,
Right.
understand it, let it fully sink in, so you can make a proper decision. And not just an impulse, and then all of a sudden you're costing the business or whatever lots of money because of a situation, right? So,
exactly.
And a lot of kids don't want to make it until they're into their 30s or 40s to want to make those decisions. They want to make them now.
Absolutely, and you see it all the time with boss's son, he gets too many responsibilities right away, and he's f***ing up left and right. And I fuck up too, not to say that I don't, but my dad was very careful with that. He didn't like put me in upper management role day one. Like I had to do the bitch work. Like I had to learn what it takes to move your way up and do all the little things. So I understand what it's like when I'm talking to that person that's doing it, how to do it. Right? It's not just like I'm just saying go do this, go do that. Like I've actually done those things as well, so I can give my opinion on it. You know?
Yeah,
Exactly. And even like new hires that come in, and they're like, oh yeah, Melod's like, the son of, sorry, your dad's name is Hojad.
Yeah.
And, he's just, he's the boss's son, and he's just going to tell me what to do. But, you went through, those motions of doing the work and working your way up and understanding, being on site, installing and all that kind of stuff. And I think, it's so important for family businesses to do that with their kids, like make them clean the floors, make them, work after hours, work on weekends and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Put
Treat
them
like
through
any
it.
other employee.
Exactly.
As much as you can.
Yeah. And sometimes it's even more, it's like they kind of push them even harder. They're like, you know what? Like
Make an example of them.
make an example. See if you can do it. Like if you are you going to back down, or are you going to quit, or whatever it may be, and see if they can actually keep up with that, work ethic and all that kind of stuff, right?
Exactly.
And
that's another thing that motivates me too. That I know people are thinking that. I know that new employee that's coming in is thinking like, oh, he's the boss's son. He's just going to tell me what to do. He probably just off and slacks off. Same thing with contractors and builders that we work with. But I really want to show them like, no, like I have my place here too. Like I carry my weight. Like this business is a lot better because I'm here, and I work hard every day to try and show that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow. Now, what is everything and roles and responsibilities that you do?
On a day-to-day basis, like I said, my main role is programming the CNC. So I'll come in, see what pieces we're doing that day, program them, set up the machine, put it on, operate it from there. If customers come in, like my mom comes in around like noon. She's there till like 3 or 4. So when she's there, she's mainly dealing with customers. But during the hours that she's not, she'll occasionally just take a day off. I have to deal with them and show them around, and people send in drawings through email. So I got to figure out how much square footage they have, how much material is needed, price the job for them. Maybe I need to order the material. I got to deal with customers calling, complaining about this, complaining about that. I mean, I got to do a lot of different things, and every day is very different. Some days I might not even have anything to do on the CNC. So I'll have to do other that day.
Right.
Yeah. It's there's 6 employees there, and only 3 of us in the office. And my dad doesn't really do much of the office work, so it's like there's a lot to do.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And your dad's
But it's
being
good though. I love it.
Oh, and that's incredible.
Being busy is important to me.
Yeah, and wearing so many hats, right? Like,
Yeah.
and in family business, that's what's required. Like, there's so many different things that you have to do and understand and whatnot. And is your dad primarily in the shop? Is that his that's his space that he really succeeds at, sort of thing?
Yeah. My dad's emphasis has always been the workmanship. Like that's what he cares the most about. It's funny seeing him with customers sometimes because like I'll come in from the back and there'll be some customers over looking at some quartz colors or whatever, and he's just sitting at his desk. I'm looking at him. I'm like, you don't want to go over there and like say anything to them? He's like, oh, I said hey, and they said they're looking for this, and if they have any questions, they can ask me. Like he's not going to do anything to try and convince someone to buy their counters from us. He doesn't care about that. That's not his style. But if you do, he is so rigid in the way that we do them. He's not going to let anything go out unless it's a 10 out of 10. Like he's very hard on us with the work that we get, but he really doesn't put in any effort into getting more work. People walk in, he doesn't even care. Like, get your counters from us, don't get your counters from us. What he really emphasizes is how we do work in the shop, making sure everything is matched up. Like when you're cutting the counters, making sure if this counter goes next to this one, that you've cut them next to each other. So, because if there's veins, let's say, all the veins will flow into one motion. Like these are the things that he focuses his attention on and has his whole career. He doesn't care too much about like advertising or putting like a sign on the side of the road, like, hey, get your countertops here. He will never slash his prices. Like, don't even come in there and be like, hey, we got a price from here. Will you match it? The answer is going to be no. Right? Like, and I mean, that's not even fair. Where did you get that quote from? What are they quoting you in? Like, how long has that shop been around for? We've been around for 20 plus years. You're not only paying for the work, or you're not only paying for the material, you're paying for the workmanship. You're paying for the experience, right? So that stuff doesn't work with.
And just to get that 10 out of 10 quality, right? Because I mean, if you go somewhere that's probably, let's say, $500 cheaper or whatever the case is, they might be getting that 9 out of 10 quality or 8 out of 10, right? Or the customer service of actually taking care of something if something were to happen.
That's the biggest thing. That's definitely the biggest thing. If they don't get it right, they're just going to leave it. And I know because those people come into our shop all the time. Hey, their whole kitchen is done. They just need this one little piece, right? And oftentimes we can't do it because that they got some like random quartz. Unless they can find one that we have in stock that kind of looks like it, we would have to buy the full slab just to make this little piece. That's probably why your job was quoted so low to begin with, because those dummies didn't realize how much material they needed. They priced it based on 2 slabs. I priced it for you based on 3 because I knew that's how many we needed. That's one of the reasons why my price was so much higher.
Right.
There's that too.
Yeah. And they're cutting corners because they have to try and make money out of that job, right? And then now workmanship isn't there, the quality's not there, and it's just a terrible experience for everybody, right?
Yeah. For every shop that's doing good work, and we're not the only ones, obviously, there's lots out there. There's at least 10 that's doing work. And so you're competing with them too. So like you said, you're cutting corners, you're buying slabs for dirt cheap from China, like $200 slabs. The least that we'll pay for a slab is $800. $200 slabs, like I told you guys before, quartz discolors over time, even the high quality quartz, especially if it's exposed to sunlight. But the low quality quartz discolors over time just on its own. So they install the counter and 6 months later, half of it is a different color than the other half, right? Like you're not getting more work because of that. Like that's how you get pushed out of business. Like no one's gonna come to you if you're doing that. You're not paying your employees well. You're constantly looking for employees because they're not happy. It's I think for anyone that's trying to be successful, really in any industry, you should make your number one focus like what you're doing. Make really good food. You know what I mean? And people will come. Make your target demographic the wealthy people, because wealthy people don't care about how much, they care about how you did it. Did you make my steak the right way? And they'll come and spend $500 every, once a week or whatever to get that steak made the way that they want it made. That's the way wealthy people are. Some of we probably have like a dozen builders and contractors, designers that exclusively bring us their work, but there's 2 of them that are really big, really high end. They don't send us drawings to quote. They send us drawings with the colors that they want, and they say, get the job done. We have their credit cards on file. They don't ask for how much it costs. The only way that they'll stop sending us jobs is if we start doing work. Because that's the most important thing at the end of the day. If you do good work, people will come. If you make good food, people will come,
Sure.
Yeah.
And that just doesn't happen, over a year of business, like it's building that relationship over 20 years, with somebody and having that name and being out there. And when there is an issue, you take care of it right away. And they're like, you know what? We call it Granite by design. We know it's going to be taken care of, right?
Yeah. What's stronger than word of mouth, right? Like an advertisement is made by the company they're obviously going to tell you to come to them. But if your buddy or your neighbor or someone says like, hey, like this is a really good place to go get a steak, like you're more likely to go there, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And that's the whole thing, today, like we're so worried about like Google ads, our website, Instagram posts and social media and all that kind of stuff. And obviously all that stuff's going to help. But like you said, like that word of mouth, doing quality work, showing that you're passionate about what you do and that you're going to do the best job possible. That is the best advertising that you probably can ever have especially as a small business. Even my dad's shop, like he's been around for just over 40 years in the custom canvas space. And he's all about quality. It's got to be the best of the best. And people have products that last over 20 years, and
think about how many recessions he's gone through, right? And his business has survived.
Exactly.
How has it survived?
Exactly. If you go by price, you go by, you're trying to make a quick buck and all that kind of stuff. People, they're all by price, and
then what happens when there is a recession?
Exactly.
Those cheap people, they don't have the money to come and buy things from you anymore, right?
Exactly.
That's why it's best to cater to the high end of the market.
Yeah. Jeez, man, that's incredible. It all started with your dad, So, did he have a background in this space, or how did he kind of get into it?
It's the only thing he's ever done since he was 18 years old. He was working for a shop in Shiraz in Iran. They started actually making counters out of granite and marble in Iran a little bit sooner than they did in Canada. It started to become a thing in like the 90s in Canada. It started to become a thing in the 80s in Iran. So he did come here with some experience. Yeah, opened up a shop in Burlington with a partner. It didn't really work out with him, and then after a few years, opened up his own shop, 1997, in his garage. Just him and my uncle.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. Built it up to where it is today.
Wow.
That's great. And just a question. I've been thinking about this for the last 5 minutes. I'm just more or less curious. What happens to all the wasted material?
Garbage
Really, eh?
into the trash.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, could you make anything out of that material? Let's say knick-knack stuff or whatever the case is.
Not really.
No, eh?
Smaller pieces, not really. You can make like cutting boards out of them, but there isn't a lot of money in that and the amount of time that it takes to make them.
Right.
Like we have a whole bunch of them. We don't sell much.
Yeah, true.
That's
And that's not what you're doing. But I'm just curious if like a company, if you're just going to throw it out and somebody who's just like, hey, can I have that marble, please?
Yeah.
know?
No one really wants the little odds and ends pieces.
Yeah, true.
Sure. And the cutting boards, so they're just leftover pieces. So if you buy 2.5 slabs and you have half slab left over, you'll make cutting boards.
Well, no, like a half a slab left over, we can still make a countertop out of that.
Right. Because how big are the slabs?
They vary in size. To give you a rough size, it'd be like 120 by 60. That'd be like an average. They can get up to 140 and they can get as tall as 75
Wow. Inches. Yeah.
inches. Yes.
And how thick are
inches.
they?
3/4 of an inch or 1.25 inches is the two main
Okay.
thicknesses that you can get granite or marble in.
What's the most popular?
The most popular is probably 1.25 inches, just because there's less work involved. So it's less money for the client. What you'd see in most counters out there is probably 1.25 inches. We use a lot of 3/4 because we do like a mitered edge, which is like a cleaner look. It's 1.5 inches. It hides the seam, and it just looks a lot more modern because the material that's on your counter is also like 3/4 of an inch, but then the front is thicker. It just looks a lot nicer. So people with money prefer that, and so we're doing a lot of that kind of work. But like in your average kitchen, the material in there is probably 1.25 inches.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. And how is the pieces actually cut? Is it through a laser or is it actually like a blade cutting it?
No, it's a blade.
A blade, yeah.
Diamond tip
Diamond,
blade.
yeah.
Yeah. We have different ones for different material. And then on the CNC machine, it's a diamond tip finger bit. It's like a small, like that big,
Right.
that goes into like make the precise cuts.
Okay.
What does a machine like that cost?
Cost $250,000.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Jesus.
I think the new ones now are like $350,000.
Keep that one.
Yeah, we've had it for like 13 years now, and like it's probably time to get a new one. But like you said, like they're so expensive.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure, dude. That's
And even
a
the technology, right? How like I'm sure that was very advanced for its time, right? And probably the one that's 350,000 today is got all the new gadgets, making it easier to cut, seamless.
Yeah, no, exactly. A lot less work involved with
Yeah.
the new ones. But I mean, the one that we have now is still really good. Like it's
Yeah.
still state of the art. Like still better than a lot of the CNCs. A lot of shops don't even have CNC machines,
Right.
So just the fact that we have one puts us ahead of most other places.
Right. Because how would you cut it otherwise? Do you have to like literally cut it by hand?
By
and-
hand.
Wow. With a
Yeah,
diamond.
that's what they were doing, right? That's what my dad was doing for years.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Wow.
Templating with like cardboard. So you take like the cardboard to the person's house and then cut with an X-Acto knife to create it, and putting that template on top of the piece and then cutting it like that. So following with your hand, basically. That
Wow.
makes sense.
No, it's yeah.
Yeah.
No, I get it.
No wall is straight, right? Like all walls have like deficiencies. So that's why we measure. That's why we template. So when we put the piece up against the wall, if it's like, if let's say the depth of the counter is 26 inches at this end and then it's 25.5 at that end, if you just cut it square at this end, there's going to be a huge gap there, right? which is why we would measure it. So when our machine is cutting it, it cuts that extra material there. So when you put the piece up against the wall, it's tight all the way along. It doesn't show the deficiencies in the wall. Yeah.
Wow.
Jesus.
Details.
Man.
Boring details.
That's just it, but that's what makes you 10 out of 10.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Emphasizing that kind of stuff. Yeah.
What's the most expensive slab you've ever bought?
Is semi-precious stone, also called gemstone. Those slabs are like $30,000. Just the material.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't even think we've done. I think maybe we did one counter with it, because that stuff is really expensive. Like no one can really afford to buy it. No one that we've done work for yet, anyway.
Sure.
Right.
That comes from Italy or something like that.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It is man-made, but it's made with gemstones. So like agate, or am I even saying that right? Blue agate. Do you guys know minerals much? Or what's the famous one? Amethyst. I'm sure you know amethyst. No. Anyway,
no.
it's like they'll basically take these like beautiful exotic minerals and glue them together to make like one big slab. So what's in it is natural, but it's man-made. If that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Wow. That probably looks really cool, eh?
Looks super cool. Yeah, I'll send you guys a picture. You can. It's translucent as well, so you can backlight it. I'm sure you've seen like.
Yeah, I've seen even some marble pieces, but I wonder if it was marble or if it was I don't know the material. But yeah, then they put a whole LED lights underneath
Yes.
the table.
Yeah.
And then you just see like the river or the glow in between the table.
So
It's so
cool.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Jesus, man.
That's great.
Unreal. And someone that you look up to, Melod?
My parents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I look up to my family, my dad, my mom. They came here with nothing and built a really successful life. They're so helpful with family members. My entire life, there's been someone in my family, whether it's a cousin or an aunt or an uncle that was living there, including today. My cousin is living there now, and another one had just moved out. He was living there for like 2 years. If I can be as successful as my dad was with his business and help as many people, I'll feel good about myself and about the life that I lived. And there's lots of people to look up to, right? But for me,
sure.
for me, I have a lot of respect for what my parents have done.
That's great. Wow. Well, definitely ending the podcast soon. Melod, really appreciate you coming onto the show.
Thanks for having me.
One thing we do love to ask every guest, a couple questions. If you could give yourself 20-year-old advice, what would it be?
20-year-old advice: travel more. And I traveled quite a bit through my 20s, but travel even more. Get started earlier. Don't worry about the money. Just do it, because you won't remember the money that you spent, but you'll remember the times that you have. Go see the world.
Wow.
Yeah.
Where do you want to go?
Advice.
What's the next spot?
I really want to go to Japan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I was in Brazil a month or so ago. That's probably one of my favorite places that I've been to. So if you guys get a chance, make it out there. Beautiful, beautiful women, great food, great landscapes. You can have really nice beaches, but they also have really nice mountains as well that you can climb up and get like a great view of the city. Just lots to do in Brazil.
Wow. And what goals do you have for yourself 5 to 10 years from now?
I'd like to buy a second house, hoping for the market to crash. At some point, it's got to, right?
That's right.
So when that
10
happens,
years.
just doesn't. It just keeps going up. Mortgage rates going up too. It doesn't make any sense, but somehow it's happening. That would be my goal for the next 5-10 years, is to buy a second home.
Wow.
Awesome. Right on.
Yeah, man.
And anyone wants to reach out to you, has a project on the go, wants to get a quote, or just learn more about you, where are you guys located, and how can they get in touch?
Yeah, 56 Dundas Street East in Waterdown. Send us an email, or you can come by. info@granitebydesign.ca. Let me know what you want, what sizes you have, color. We can give you a quote. Yeah. Or if you want to just come by and check out our slabs, you're welcome to do that as well.
Yeah. Come touch them.
Yeah. Wait, no touching allowed.
Yeah, exactly. Awesome. Well, thank you, Melod, for being part of today's podcast. And to everyone who's listening, if you like today's video or podcast, be sure to hit that like button, hit subscribe so you don't miss out on any future content. And we'll be sure to catch you in the next podcast. See you guys. Wow.
Wow, dude. Great job.
Thanks, guys.
That was great,
man.
I know.
Crushed it.
Probably one of the more boring ones.
No, dude.